Welcome to Baltimore, everybody. Today, it's the Tennessee Oilers against the Baltimore Ravens, the Ravens' final home game of the season. But even more important than that, the final game ever to be played here at Old Memorial Stadium. A nostalgic day topped off by 40 former great Baltimore Colts, led by the great quarterback Johnny U, here to spend the day with these fine football fans of Baltimore. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Donovan, along with James Lofton. Johnny Unitas is not starting at quarterback today for the Baltimore Ravens, but that's been a real topic here this week, a quarterback controversy, even when you're 5-8-1.
But I think the bigger controversy is not who's starting today, but who's going to be the starter in 1998. And Vinny Testaverde, by his own admission, has not had a Pro Bowl season like he did in '96. And Eric Zeier, he will get the start today, his second start overall. And Ted Marchibroda wants to find out whether this guy will be his quarterback of the future.
James, the other big question here today is, which Tennessee Oiler team will show up? The team that really played so well against Dallas on Thanksgiving Day on the road, or the team that just fell on their face in Cincinnati a couple of Thursday nights ago?
Yeah, it was Jekyll and Hyde the last two Thursday outings. Unfortunately, this is a Sunday game for Jeff Fisher's group. He says the 10 days has given them time to reflect and get over it. And Eddie George is very well rested for this ball game. He only had 5 carries against the Cincinnati Bengals, a guy who has carried the ball 315 times this season. So when the Oilers get going, it'll be behind Eddie George.
It's the Oilers and the Ravens coming up next for the last time ever here at Memorial Stadium. We're set for the kickoff. You're watching the NFL on NBC. Welcome back to Baltimore, everybody, here at Memorial Stadium. Set to go now. The Oilers taking on the Ravens. Al Del Greco has the ball on tee as Tennessee will kick off. Back deep for the Ravens is Bottled Lightning, and I'll tell you, this guy is going to be a big factor today. To the top of your screen, 84, Jermaine Lewis, 2 punts for touchdowns last week, and the Oilers will have to be wary of him on special teams. Glad you're with us on a sunny, beautiful day in Baltimore for the final game ever here at Memorial Stadium. Jermaine Lewis catches it at his own 6-yard line and brings it up near the 30 where he's brought down. First and 10 there, a 24-yard return for Lewis, and here comes Eric Zeier getting the start. His second start in a row. The offensive line, very good, topped off by the great second-year player Jonathan Ogden. He's on his way to the Pro Bowl. Quentin Newyear gets the start at center. Wally Williams shifts over to a guard spot. In the backfield, it looks like this. Zeier has Bam Morris starting with him in the backfield. Jackson and Alexander, the wide receivers. They'll go with 2 tight ends, Eric Green and Brian Kinchin. First and 10. The ball is at the 30-yard line. Zeier led the Ravens to a win last week against Seattle. That earned him the second start in a row here this week against Tennessee. Morris on first down and runs right into the arms of Baron Wortham for a short half-yard gain over the 30-yard line. Let's meet the Oiler defense. Up front for them, the front 4, Anthony Cook, Gary Walker, Henry Ford, and a good rookie, Kenny Holmes, with 7 sacks. He gets the start, and they look for a little more pressure off that right side. Very active linebackers. Bowden, Wortham, and Lemansky Hall starts at the right linebacker spot. Denard Walker and Darrell Lewis at the corners. Blaine Bishop going to his 3rd straight Pro Bowl. And Marcus Robertson is back in after coming back after arthroscopic surgery. Second down and 9 for Baltimore. Morris again. And coming up on the corner and making the stop right there is George McCullough. This is his first game in playing as a member of the NFL Tennessee Oilers. He comes off the practice squad and, boy, makes a good tackle right away.
Well, he's got the butterflies out of the way, but, you know, the matchup is a big, very big offensive front for the Baltimore Ravens against a small, quick defensive unit for the Tennessee Oilers. And Marchibroda said, we're going to try and pound them early, and they were ineffective the first 2 plays.
Morris lost 2 on that play, so it's 3rd down and 11. 3 wide receivers in. Zeier's first pass with a blitz, sidesteps a little bit of the rush, tiptoes out of another tackle, throws it long for Jackson, and it's incomplete. Down by the 30-yard line of Tennessee, Denard Walker is on coverage there for the Oilers. And so it's a 3-and-out right away for the Ravens.
And all day long, you'll be able to say Tennessee Oilers and blitz, because that is what Jeff Fisher has in store for Eric Zeier today. And we talked to Blaine Bishop, and he said, you know, he's a young guy. He's only in his 3rd year. And until you've had 2 full seasons of starting, you really aren't a proven veteran, and they're going to blitz Eric Zeier and try and force him into mistakes.
You saw Derek Mason, 82, back for the Oilers. Greg Montgomery into punt for the Ravens. Mason looking into a tough sun on a bright day here at Memorial Stadium. Oh, he got tied up there. I think the sun bothered him. Donnie Brady is chasing the ball down. It's picked up by the Ravens. They're going to take it into the end zone, and they're ruling that the ball was down at the 21-yard line. And are they saying that it hit one of the Oilers? The official pointed towards that it's Baltimore ball. Terry Killens might have been the player that it struck. A 55-yard punt. Let's watch this one, James, as it came down.
The ball was touched by the receivers, recovered by the kickers. The kickers cannot advance the ball. First down.
Yeah, and I think the conversation there was, had a Baltimore Raven touched the ball prior to Tennessee Oiler touching the ball, because if that happens, then obviously Houston can pick it up, they can bobble it, and they can never lose it if that's the case.
Tyrus McLeod is the player there picking it up and advancing it into the end zone. But you're right, James. Terry Killens is the man that the ball hit him on the ankle. And look at where the Ravens get the ball at the 16-yard line, rather, of Tennessee. First down. Big turnover there. Kinchin is the motion man, the tight end. Bam Morris cuts to the inside the 10.
You know, it doesn't take a genius to figure out where you would like to run the football. You have Jonathan Ogden, who has moved from left guard to left tackle this year, and really to the head of the class, even at that position. A lot of people around the NFL will tell you he is the equal of Tony Baselli, and perhaps even better than Baselli, and they have gone straight at Kenny Holmes, 3 consecutive running plays, and you would have to scratch your head if you're Kenny Holmes. I'm a first-round pick, a big stud, and this guy is going to wear me out and may wear me out for the rest of my career as I play against him.
They'll meet each other twice every season. The ball just inside the 10. Second down and 2 for the Ravens. They go right back to Morris. Tied up at the line of scrimmage, and look at the Oilers come to the ball right there with those active linebackers. Anthony Cook gets off the pile, along with Baron Wortham.
And one of the fallbacks of maybe Ted Marchibroda's system, where even when you use 2 tight ends, you do not have that lead blocker that you would at fullback. And they have Kenyon Cotton, who's on the sideline, who is their only prototype fullback. But Marchibroda doesn't like to use them a lot. He has Eric Green in at one tight end, Kinchin in at the other tight end. And if I'm the Ravens, I'm going to try and run that ball behind Eric Green and Jonathan Ogden. Eric Green is just a big, fast tackle playing tight end.
Third down and still 2 to go. Zeier throws. Jackson catches, spins at the 1, and he's in for the touchdown.
Just a simple sprint out, and you talk about Eric Zeier only being a shade over 6 feet tall. Can he operate behind this massive offensive line? And the statement is, yes, I can. Height doesn't make any difference. And when you match up a rookie against a veteran like Michael Jackson, the rookie's thinking he's going deep. Michael Jackson, a big physical target, is able to get his way into the end zone after the catch.
Matched over for the extra point. Montgomery holds. Had to pull the snap down, placed it down, and the kick is good. And after the fumble on the punt, Michael Jackson catches the touchdown pass, and the Ravens lead 7-0 over Tennessee.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. By the 1998 Honda Accord, an Accord like no other. By Microsoft, where do you want to go today? And by American Express, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more.
Michael Jackson catches an 8-yard touchdown pass from Eric Zeier. Baltimore cashes in. They go 3 plays, 16 yards. It took 1:24, set up by the mishap on the punt when the ball struck Terry Killens, and the Ravens recovered. The kickoff sails down. Rodney Thomas. A flag goes down as he goes down at the 25-yard line. 18-yard return, but it's going to even worsen for Tennessee on field position as they get flagged on the penalty. Bob McElwee.
Illegal block in the back above the waist, number 26 on the receiving team during the run. 10 yards, half the distance to the goal line. First down.
Renee Stewart. All right, let's check out Tennessee as the offense finally gets on the field now. Brad Hopkins with Bruce Matthews going to his 10th straight Pro Bowl. Stepnoski, Donnelly, and John Runyon. Big offensive line, good offensive line. Steve McNair, the quarterback. Eddie George is off to Honolulu in the Pro Bowl with Michael Rohn, Willie Davis, Chris Sanders, Frank Wycheck. Good player, played here at the University of Maryland in college. First look at Steve McNair. The offense is in bad field position back at their own 10-yard line. And he'll throw right away. Looking for Willie Davis. The ball behind him on coverage was Deron Jenkins. Here's a look at the Ravens defense, which has been playing well the last couple of weeks. Rob Burnett, James Jones. Larry Webster is in for Tony Siragusa. He had surgery on his hand the other day. And Michael McCrary is at the right end. The linebackers, young and good. Peter Boulware, the rookie. Ray Lewis, Jamie Sharper, Langham, and Jenkins on the corner. Two rookies in the secondary, Staten and Herring. This defense had 4 interceptions last week against Seattle. 2nd and 10. Eddie George's first carry. Turns the corner. Not too much running room on the side. Chased out by Ray Lewis, Ann Herring, and James Jones. So it's 3rd down.
And I know the standard school of thought is that if people are going to crowd the line on 1st down, we'll try and outfox them and throw the football. But as long as I have Eddie George on my team, you know, heavy doses of this guy early in the ball game tend to wear out the other team. Kevin Donnelly, the guard, said, you know, if we feed this guy the ball early enough, the 1st quarter, the 2nd quarter, people start to get out of his way in the 3rd and 4th quarter. He's that type of running back.
He really wears you down, and there he is, lining deep up in the backfield, 3rd and 7. McNair in trouble, stands there, and wow, what strength as he fires the ball out. He was wrapped up by the legs, and the catch by Willie Davis, and he's up near a 1st down at the 20-yard line. How did McNair get it off?
Well, you said wow, and one of the things that we asked McNair when we talked to him this past week is what makes him go wow, and he said there was a play against the Cowboys. Chad Hennings is draped over one leg, and somehow I threw the ball. I think he even underestimates his own strength. At 6 feet, he's about 235, almost 40 pounds. He's one of the strongest guys around. Everybody knows he's a great runner, but to be able to stand in the pocket and compose yourself and get rid of the football, that's a skill that you don't learn sitting on the sideline. That's a thing you learn in the game.
It was a 1st down. Gets away from Rob Burnett. There's a flag going down as Burnett got chopped down. McNair still up, fires. It is caught by Derek Mason, but I believe this one's coming back because Burnett really got nailed. He got chopped down below the knees, and it is coming back.
Well, not only did we have a flag down, and we are close enough to the field that we could hear a whistle. And you saw Steve McNair hesitate, and you know, obviously it's a bootleg. He's going to get outside the pocket. But there was a whistle, and he hesitated on his play.
Number 80, offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat the down, 1st down.
Not a good start for Jeff Fisher's Oilers as Michael Rohn is flagged for grabbing Rob Burnett.
You know, and we talked about Steve McNair, whether or not well, you see the hold, it almost looks more like a chop there.
Yeah, it really looked
like a chop. He comes down behind him, and that's a dangerous play where you can hurt somebody. And I would think that there's a lot of payback in this league. And if you get your chance later, you look up Rohn and pay him back for that chop flag.
So it's 1st and 20, and they now are back at their 10-yard line. They jump across as Rob Burnett came across early, but Eddie George is into the secondary. And Ray Lewis finally trails him and brings him down out near the 40-yard line. 29-yard run if it stands. It looked like 90. Rob Burnett was offside.
Yeah, it's an offsides against Rob Burnett. And really what that does is it throws everyone else on your defense off. You see one guy who comes over in that neutral zone, and for just one instant, the rest of the defense kind of hesitates. They let up. You lose that guy's pressure, and Eddie George just springs it right up the middle. You know, Eddie, you're not going to tackle him just with arms. You really do need to wrap up on him and gang tackle this guy.
Jamie Sharper did try and do just that, James. Tried to get him with his arms. And he missed. 1st and 10. McNair on a blown play. But he can run and he can turn it into a good play and tiptoes out into the Oiler bench at the 40-yard line. Let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York with an update right now.
All right, Jim, we'll take you to Buffalo, where Jacksonville's Mark Brunell connected with Tina McCardle for 60 yards, and it set this up. A 13-yard run around the left side by Brunell into the end zone to give the Jaguars a 7-0 lead. With a win today, Jim, Jacksonville clinches a playoff spot.
You know, watching that run by Brunell, we sat down, we talked to Steve McNair. We said, who's the best running quarterback in your mind? And we saw the grin come across the face. I said, okay, not you. He said, Steve Young and Brunell before the knee, but Brunell after the knee looks pretty good.
There was no gain on that first down run, but here comes Eddie George, and George finds room to the middle and picks up 5 out to the 45-yard line.
Jamie Sharper brought him down.
Well, if I'm going to run this football, I'm going to run it right here for the Tennessee Oilers, because Tony Siragusa is not playing today. He is the run stopper. He's out. He had a surgery on his hand on Friday. He's unavailable for this team today. And at 340, 50, 60 pounds plus, Tony Siragusa, there he is. He clogs up the middle. And I'm not talking about the middle of the buffet line. He clogs up the middle of the defense.
37 yards on 3 carries already for Eddie George. Remember, he had 11 against the Bengals on 5 carries in that 41-14 nightmare loss. Here's McNair throwing. Nice catch as Frank Wycheck pulls it down at the Raven 49-yard line. 7-yard pickup, first down. There's a player down back in the where the pass originated from, where McNair was back in the pocket.
You watch Steve McNair drop back in the pocket, and this season his safety blanket has become Frank Wycheck. The wide receivers on this team feel pretty forgotten. They could enter the witness protection program. As much as they've gotten the football, no one would even know that they were gone, but Wycheck has become his go-to guy.
We'll check out the Ravens injured player when we return to Memorial Stadium. Baltimore 7, Tennessee nothing early in the first.
The network of the Super Bowl. You're watching the NFL on NBC.
Larry Webster was the injured Baltimore Raven defender. He was going down to the turf. He got blocked by Eddie George. He walked off under his own power and appears to be okay. May take a play off and come back into the defensive lineup. It's a first down for Tennessee. They're in Raven territory, and Eddie George takes the pitch. Antonio Langham brings him down near the 43-yard line.
Running down.
You know, I'm just shaking my head up here because that's not an assignment that I would want to have to tackle Eddie George. I mean, your defensive back, your job is to cover that cute little wide receiver who runs those outs and ups. You don't want Eddie George. You talk about well-sculpted body. Eddie George is it. The weight room, the extra running. And he's not going to try and juke you in the open field. He's going to run over you.
Keith Washington is into the lineup, replacing Larry Webster after he went down injured. Frank Wycheck goes in motion again. The Ravens come across early, and again, Eddie George slices into the secondary, and look at him take on Ralph Staten, and finally go down at the 25-yard line. It's an 18-yard run while we check out the flags. Mike Frederick.
Offside, number 94, defense. That penalty will be declined. First down.
He didn't even have to check with them, did he? He just said decline. They'll take the 18-yard gain.
You would have to wonder at this point whether or not Steve McNair is using a little head motion. I mean, he is definitely still there. Enough voice inflection will draw guys off, and it is the oldest adage, watch the football. Every defensive lineman is taught that from the time that they first line up to play when they're in Pop Warner or high school. Watch the football.
From the 25, 10th play of the drive, Eddie George again dives down inside the 25-yard line. Tackled by James Jones.
I'm going to reiterate it one more time, and then I'll get off the subject. Not having Tony Siragusa in the middle of this lineup really changes the things that they're able to do. Ray Lewis, the middle linebacker, has, 785 tackles, 1 million tackles this year. Most of those tackles are because guys stay off of him. And Tony Siragusa is the guy who keeps guys off of Ray Lewis.
Second down and 8. A draw. Eddie George inside the 20. If you go back, when we visited with Kevin Donnelly last night from the Oilers offensive line, he said once we told him that Siragusa was injured, he said, I'm going to go back and tell Bruce Matthews and the boys back in their room, have a good night's sleep. Siragusa doesn't look like he's going to play.
And you see Eddie George limping off the field a little bit. You don't know whether or not that will slow him down. But you bring in Rodney Thomas. And Rodney Thomas is a backed-up halfback. He gained 900 yards his rookie year. Then you draft Eddie George. He rarely sees the field, but he is a good quality running back.
It's 3rd and 3. A bootleg from McNair. And the catch made by Willie Davis. It will be 1st and goal inside the 10 at the 9-yard line, where Antonio Langham brings Davis down.
And when you talk to people within the Tennessee Oilers organization, what will it take for this team to get better, to get past the Pittsburgh Steelers, to get past the Jacksonville Jaguars? It was that play right there. Willie Davis catches that ball. The catch is great, but a big physical receiver runs out of that tackle. Get a guy in the mode of the San Francisco receivers, and even what Michael Jackson did for the touchdown with the Ravens.
Michael Roan in motion on 1st and goal inside the 10. Rodney Thomas. And he is brought down. Right away, Washington is in on the tackle for the Ravens.
Toughest spot to score on the football field. 1st and goal from the 9. You only have 10 yards behind you once you get to that goal line. 19 yards within the pass. So the defense can really just lay on the goal line and stop routes. Now 2nd and 9. Pretty hard to run 2 plays and get 9 yards if you're going to keep it on the ground. Some type of play action probably be in order for the Oilers here.
Eddie George is back in on this long extended drive by Tennessee to try and tie the game. Ravens lead 7-0. 2nd and goal from the 8. The draw to George. Takes it to the outside and gets hit at the 6. Coming up is Deron Jenkins to bring him down. And a good hit by Jenkins, too. Up slowly is Eddie George, but back on okay.
And I mentioned play action pass. Well, you could put a draw in the same category because you're trying to give the defense a different look. You're trying to make them think it's pass, get in their pass lanes, rush upfield. They didn't buy it that time. But now you have Steve McNair, and he does give you that ability to pull the ball down and run with it.
So far, 3rd down, they've been very good. Perfect. 3 for 3. 3rd and goal at the 7. McNair right at the end zone. A tip ball is incomplete. Intended for Willie Davis. Antonio Langham and Ralph Staten were over there on the coverage.
And a very, very dangerous pass by Steve McNair. You know, a quarterback has to have confidence that he can fit the ball in to almost any area, but this is like trying to put it through the eye of a needle. Langham, if somebody gets their hands on this ball, they may be going the opposite direction for a touchdown.
And you know, just beyond that shot right there, watch Chris Sanders. He's kind of, for the Oilers, standing back in the end zone. If the tip goes a little bit more to the right there, he's right there. 25-yard field goal upcoming here for Al Del Greco. Craig holds. Ooh, and he just slipped it through. And the Oilers go down the field and get on the board. Ravens lead 7-3. Back in Baltimore, Steve McNair on the telephone. Pretty good drive, although I'm sure he wanted to take it in for a touchdown rather than an Al Del Greco field goal of 25 yards. 16 plays. They went 85 yards on the drive. Nate Singleton on the return for the Ravens to the 20 and brought down. Nice tackle down there by Terry Killings. 15-yard return. A flag is down on the return.
And where it's been dropped, I would think that maybe the Oilers were offside.
Right on it, James. Well, a decision time now for the Ravens. Do they want the re-kick?
Offside, number 20 of the kicking team. Re-kick with a 5-yard penalty.
And that's what they are going to do. Rodney Thomas lined up offside, or came offside early on the kick. Scott O'Brien, the special teams coach of Baltimore.
And the bad thing about it is it lets Baltimore adjust to them kicking the ball away from Jermaine Lewis. And not only a good idea to kick away from because he's a dangerous return guy, but Jermaine Lewis at 5'8", 170 pounds, sopping wet, is not a great lead blocker for these kickoff returns.
Well, you can follow the NFL online now at msnbcsports.com. And Gil Brandt breaks down the Chiefs and analyzes their dominance this season. Plus, we feature the Steelers' Jerome Bettis, a candidate for the league's MVP award. Also, vote for who you think is Coach of the Year, and it's all at msnbcsports.com.
If I'm looking at Coach of the Year, I have to look at Jim Fossil from the Giants, a team that was predicted to come in last in their division. They end up winning it.
They go from last to first.
Exactly.
And win the NFC East yesterday when they beat the Washington Redskins. Tony Dungy you'd have to throw in there too from the Tampa Bay Bucks. Ball is up finally on the tee and from the 25. Del Greco hits it. Hits it well too. A high kick back at the 6-yard line. Jermaine Lewis over the 25 out to the 28-yard line. A 20-yard return. And we'll return to Memorial Stadium. Ravens lead 7-3. Back in Memorial Stadium, I'll tell you what, Santa is running slightly ahead of Johnny Unitas for most people getting their pictures taken with him.
That red suit is just a babe magnet.
40 members of the Baltimore Colts here on the final day at Memorial Stadium. Eric Zeier begins the drive now for the Ravens. Third of the day for them. They're at their own 28. They lead 7-3 over Tennessee. Bam Morris finding no running room at all as the Oilers shut down the corner. Gary Walker is in there along with Baron Wortham.
Well, if you have a big team, physical guys, you would expect to run directly at them. You're going to try and run wide with a big back, a guy who's not really a fast back, Bam Morris. You're going to have to get some real good push at the start of the offensive line. Tennessee is small and quick, and it's to their advantage if they can string the plays out, and that's what they've been doing so far.
Bam Morris having a tough day, so are the Ravens running the ball, and that's all Morris today. 4 yards rushing so far on their third possession. He gets the ball again. And a little bit more running room this time over the 30-yard line.
He gained 7.
All right, the big buzz here in Baltimore this week has been Eric Zeier, Vinny Testaverde, and then there was the other story. Are the Ravens really interested in Jim Kelly? Well, in yesterday's Baltimore Sun, Ted Marchibroda dismissed the report about Kelly with a joke. Now, if I'm bringing in Jim Kelly, let me read it first, James. If I'm bringing in Jim Kelly, I might as well bring in James Lofton, too. What about this?
I don't think he was joking. I think what he's saying is if that we can possibly sign Jim Kelly, maybe we can find the money under the cap to really bring in a proven, very, very veteran wide receiver.
Third down at 6. I thought it was interesting that you were with the Ravens doing calisthenics before the game. The throw to Michael Jackson, incomplete over his head at the 42, and the Ravens will punt.
You know, I think that the tough thing in all of this possibly is on Vinny Testaverde, a guy who, played in the Pro Bowl a year ago. A year ago this time, he was getting his bags packed to go to Hawaii, and now he's on the sideline. Eric Zeier is piloting the offense. And he really has to wonder what his future is. And with the speculation and rumors like Jim Kelly, it's topsy-turvy at his house right now.
Montgomery, 55-yard punt his first time. And remember, the Oilers had it hit them. Now Derek Mason, boy, he hits them with a good return. And the ball comes loose again for the second time in a row. They give a punt away, and the Ravens come up with it. That's Kim Herring with the ball. Fisher coming out onto the field.
I don't think I've seen a punt returner take the ball up the field as hard as Derek Mason did on that play. Talked to Floyd Reese, the general manager, before the game. They expect big things from Derek Mason. But when a guy takes it up that fast, you have to realize this is not college. You're not going to run over guys. This is the NFL, and there are some big boys out there who are going to lay the wood on you. You have to protect yourself. I mean, he is running through there as if he's on a Saturday afternoon stroll, and he doesn't see the guys coming in from the blind side. Donnie Brady gets a good hit on him and just dislodges that football.
Brady and Brian Kinchin came in from each side, one on the left, one on the right. They hit Mason. The ball squirts out, and Kim Herring recovers the fumble, giving Baltimore the ball at the 35, and Mason is still down.
And I've been in his position. You know, people ask, what's the hardest hit you've ever taken? Well, the hard hits, you get them all the time, but they hurt even worse when you're separated from the football. If it's a wide receiver going over the middle, trying to catch a ball, if you don't come down with that ball, it really hurts. And on this punt return, if he holds on to that ball, believe me, he may even be able to bounce up and get off the field because that adrenaline is still going. But when you lose the ball, that adrenaline shuts off and the pain steps in.
I'm sure it does, and Derek Mason is feeling that pain right now as he remains down on the field. This is the last game at Memorial Stadium, and as we commemorate that final game, here this afternoon. Here's a look back at the first game held here. Memorial Stadium first opened its doors to the Baltimore Colts in September 1953. At the home opener that year, the fans filed in as the Colts upset the Chicago Bears. The score on that afternoon, 13-9. The attendance that day, 23,715. And now here we are today, as the Ravens head downtown Baltimore next year for the opening of the '98 season. From the 35-yard line of Tennessee and leading 7-3. 2 miscues on punts by the Oilers have handed the ball to the Ravens in great field position. Zeier wants it all right away. Incomplete. Derek Alexander stretched out and had it, but couldn't pull it down.
Well, down on the field, every player does this. I went down before the game to check out where the sun is, and Derek Alexander is looking directly into the sun on that play. And you know what? I talked to Don Strock, and I said, will you call plays differently so not to put the guys in jeopardy? And as a quarterback, he obviously just said no. You know, they have to catch the football. But as a wide receiver, the first excuse on your list is I lost it in the sun.
Zeier thought he had a big one right there, but it's incomplete. 2nd and 10. Bam Morris on his left. There's a lot of running room as he comes to the left and to the near sideline. First down, steps out of bounds near the 22.
The tail end of that run will tell you everything that you want to know about Bam Morris. He is a bit of an enigma at running back. At 6'2", 245 pounds, you would think that Bam Morris is not a shifty guy. Well, he takes this ball behind the line of scrimmage. There's nowhere to go. He kind of bounces and dances and bounces, and the big guy doesn't do that. And then at the tail end of the run, you think he's going to put his shoulder down. He hurdles over the guy.
14 yards, his best running play of the afternoon, and a first down. Zeier throws into a lot of white shirts there, and the ball is batted down. Looks like Anthony Cook might have ended up getting his hands on that ball and batted down. You know what, James? Zeier, not a really tall quarterback, and so the offensive line, Jonathan Ogden said that, they really have to keep those defensive linemen away and keep the pocket really from sinking in on him.
Yeah, and that was a very short drop there. That was the same ball that he had thrown outside for the touchdown earlier. He elected to try and go inside. He had to throw it in between people.
2nd and 10. Gets away from the rush, but not that one. And he's brought down by Gary Walker back near the 30-yard line. They feel that they did a little extra roughing up of Zeier, and now the offensive lineman of the Ravens taking exception.
And Orlando Brown is right in the middle of that mix. And when we talked to Orlando Brown, the thing he said, you know, Jonathan Ogden came in here. He said he has the technique, he has the style down. I just want to go out and wrap the guy up and hit him in the head. And I'm so aggressive that I need to learn to take the proper pass set. And at the end of this play, Eric Zeier kind of just gets pretzeled a little bit, and there's a little bit who was the old official who said, you know, he's giving him the business. Well, he got the business at the tail end of that play, and the offensive lineman didn't like it.
Oh, everybody jumping and leaving early on that play. On 3rd down and 19, and the flags come down. Michael Jackson.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 86, offense. 5 yards, repeat the down, 3rd down.
Well, you could pick a number there, and they picked Eric Green, but Michael Jackson also left early, too.
Well, with the sack and the illegal procedure now, they have backed themselves up way out of field goal range, kicking into this wind. Talked to the special teams coach. He said about a 40-yarder is as far as we could kick it. Well, they're at a 50-yard plus now. So, in essence, they're almost in 2-down territory now. If they can complete a pass, they could then try and go for it again on 4th down, because you just can't kick into this wind right here.
Well, they're going to let the first quarter run down and run out as Eric Zeier will come over and talk it over on what will be 3rd down and 23 when we start the 2nd quarter here on the final home game at Memorial Stadium. After 1, Baltimore leads 7-3.